Hi, and welcome to Conscious Talk TV show, and I'm your host, Linda Summers, and we've got another great show for you today. Today is part 2 of Defining Unconditional Love with Kelly Marie. And so I'd like to welcome Kelly back to the show. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Linda. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, and thank you, everybody, for joining us right now. And also, for those of you who are just tuning in, if you're going to be tuning in later after the show, I just want to let you know that what Kelly does is she helps people to heal their whole life. So, and we'll have all the information on the video as well as to how you can get a hold of her. So let's kind of complete and kind of dive more into depth of this whole defining unconditional self-love. And I had a question this morning that Brenda had actually brought up the very first time that we had spoken, and maybe we can start from this point of, unless you wanted to start at a different point, Kelly.
Well, go ahead and say it. We'll see where it goes.
Okay. Well, and I also, too, I know we talked about the energies last week. So do we want to talk about these energies right now?
We can. Well, there's just a lot of magnetic storms from time to time. There's a lot of energies from, the collective itself going through a lot of changes. So a lot of, a lot of pretty intense energies trying to get you to kind of stay in alignment. A lot of the things, the resistance and stuff, which is what we're talking about here. We're going to get into what out of alignment with the self is and why you want to get into alignment. Is so you're not so pulled by the things that are going on, so you can kind of navigate the energies by being grounded and in your energy rather than being so affected by what's going on around you, because they're pretty intense. So a lot of people are going into fear, frustration, anger, even they don't want to be pulled on so much right now. So it's all about you kind of valuing yourself and kind of not letting others pull you out of the way you want to be, because it's very easy to get pulled on these days and feel it very strongly. So, again, that's why we're kind of covering the tools on how to handle and navigate that kind of a thing.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense, I think, because with the energies, like you mentioned, that I don't think people realize that the solar flares, the magnetic energies, I know you had mentioned that this morning, that are happening. I don't think people realize how it has such an effect on us, because we think, oh, that's happening out there. But, so that kind of dives into us being energetic beings and things like that. So
yeah, your body is made up of electricity and magnetism. So if you're having a solar flare is a big influx of magnetism affecting our polarity on the planet, about, kind of pulling. That's why we see the aurora borealises, that's because our poles and the whole, what protects us, is being pulled on a little bit, and our bodies will feel it. I mean, we're kind of held together by gravitational field ourselves. So any kind of intense magnetism or electricity around us has a little bit of pull. So sometimes we'll think very cloudy, we can't think as well because the circuitry is actually not working as effectively in those times. So it can cause headaches, aches and pains here and there. A lot of people feel it a lot of different ways, but it could just be your mental process, because again, that is a chemical, electrical, magnetic system that's going on in our brains. So it is affecting everything. So a lot of the times, if you're aware of it, you can actually start discerning what's happening with you and what's happening outside of you. So it can serve to know it, to know what's going on, so you can kind of get more centered into yourself and kind of be more balanced within all of it.
So that might be a good place to start then, is the alignment. Well, actually, maybe the resistance and the contrast. Let's kind of go back into that, because we're talking about the energy.
Yeah, which is what the unconditional love is. That is the alignment. That is the well-beingness. That is the happiness. That is the contentment in the moment. That is when you feel your best and you feel whole and happy and satisfied. And the other side of that, when you're out of alignment with yourself, that's when we feel frustrated, the limitations kicking in. And that's based on the history that you've created when you're thinking with your brain, all of the hopes and faith that you've bought into over your life, the beliefs that how things should be, how people love, how friends should be, how people should be around you, how much you have, how successful you are, all of that development of the belief systems that you have in your brain currently right now from your life experience taking you to this point, everything that you have your trust and faith into is what's kind of running the show. Yeah. But you know, you can kind of grade it by how good do I feel in this moment? How happy and content am I? And when there's when you're not happy, centered and grounded, that means you got some beliefs that are out of alignment with the self.
Right.
So that's what this journey is all about, is actually getting those, I call them filters, perspectives, those limited beliefs into a different frame of knowingness so you can then feel the well-being that's returning inside of you, to get rid of what's limiting you, to get rid of what's bothering you or what's pulling you out of that vibration. Because at any moment, without fail, you have access to feeling good.
Yeah.
As the guides would say, when are you going to let yourself be happy?
Yeah.
And the things that keep you happy is what you believe about how you're doing, how life is, how successful you are. And so that's where, you know, going inside helps, you know, kind of that unconditional love for the self is kind of that journey to get a good look at what you're doing. You know, what do I believe about myself? What, you know, you got to start asking yourself the right questions. So this is a follow-up to, you had asked me last week, what do we do? You know, what, yeah, this is a good concept to know, but how do we do that? How do we start? And it really begins with taking a good look at, you know, being able to, and I'll lay out here in a minute, like the devices that we actually have, because we have everything that we need. Our body is designed to the point where we will know once we learn how to navigate what's going on in our bodies with our emotions.
Yeah.
And things. You know, we have all the clues that we need to what we're stuck on, but we're not used to thinking of it like that. So
Right.
the first part to begin would be asking yourself a lot of questions. You know, first of all, am I happy? You know, and if you're not, what are you not happy about? Because all of this will kind of unlock a lot of things that you're stuck in. Because again, we go back to the two energies. There's love and fear. Right. And when you're in anything outside of that pure love, you get into the world of conditional love. So, you know, everything, you know, not judging others, having what you need, knowing that you're perfectly supported, you're feeling good, you're in alignment with the self, things are flowing in your life, things are working out perfectly because you know they will, and things can come up in your life because everybody has contrast, and you're not knocked out of your game. You can look at it with a clear perspective. That is the unconditional self-love. Now, when you have conditional love, which most people navigate through, there's a lot of, and that's kind of love with a price tag. Yeah. In other words, whether it's for yourself or from somebody else, or what you want the world to believe about you, or what you believe about the world. You know, there's all these conditions too. I will love you if, I will be happy if I have enough money. I will be happy when I'm successful. I will be happy when this person leaves my life. I will be happy when this person gets off my back. All of these things keep me from being happy. And so those are the conditions in which then we're out of alignment with the self. And so
can I mention something? Because I know you had said something last week, I think it was last week or the week before, that when we want something, we want everything that we desire because of the way it makes us feel.
Yes, you believe by having that thing, you will feel better in having it. Yeah. So a lot of us even think, oh, I really need a relationship, or I really need a child, or I really need that successful job, or
house, car,
money, all of those things, because we believe that, I mean, that's that whole thing right now. I don't believe that I'm okay because I need these things in order to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's where you're stuck. Those are the filters. And when you do that, you kind of pinch off your own energy. And that is, the more limited you are, the more filters that you have. You're literally cutting off your whole energetic supply. Chronic thinking, when that thinking becomes so chronic that I will not be happy without this thing, I have to have it, I have to have it, I have to have it.
Yeah.
You literally, that chronic thinking over time does lead to physical imbalances in the body or mental issues. It can literally cause mental disorders. A lot of them come from chronic out of alignment thinking. So the whole purpose of doing this work, finding unconditional love for the self, it's not about this love, fluffy feeling version of love. It really is allowing yourself to be happy no matter what comes up in your life. That even when things come up, I'm good enough, I don't need things from the outside world. I am stable, I am grounded, I know who I am. I don't need that to be happy. And so no matter what shows up, you'll still be able to get through it. Because say you think you need a relationship and you're in the relationship, it feels great at the beginning, you're getting exactly what you want from the other person, and then that person changes their mind and leaves. And then you're devastated because you needed that thing to make you happy, and now it's been ripped away from you, and people lose their minds and act like it's a loan,
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've lost my loan.
Yeah.
And
They go into depression and all this other stuff, and life is miserable. Yeah. It's difficult.
But that is because you put too much emphasis on needing this.
Yeah.
Seeking things from the outside world to feel balanced and whole. That will never, ever fill you up, ever. It will temporarily, but you'll always need another, it's kind of like a drug. We'll always need another hit. It will always be something else.
Yeah.
And those things don't tend to last for very long.
No.
Because usually that began out of lack. You bought into an unhealthy relationship because it was a match, and it was a link to where you are, because you always get back an equal version of where you are.
Right.
The world around you is very much a reflection about what you got going on inside. So if you're in a state of well-beingness, you can attract a very loving, healthy person to you, and then you can appreciate that person because they don't have to be anything for you. Right. You don't need them, you just want them in your life and to share and want the best for each other.
Yeah.
But if you need this relationship because this person makes you feel so special that you never felt that way before, well, that's a clue that you not exactly the most healthy relationship with yourself that you could have.
Right.
What is going on inside of you? So if you start asking yourself a lot of questions, kind of look at what are my desires, what are my wants, what are my wishes, and why do I want them? What is it about that I feel, and do I feel like I must have that to be happy? Those are all ways to actually get a clue on where you are in that self-love journey.
Yeah.
Now, our bodies tell us all the time whether we're in alignment or not. Mm-hmm. Because when you're feeling good and you're letting things move and flow, and you feel that joy and excitement for life, and you just feel good in this moment, nothing needs to happen, and that body the energy is flowing, everything is moving. But the moment like somebody comes up and gets into an argument with you and you take it personally, they call you a name or something, and it truly offends you, you actually pull yourself out of that energy and lower your vibration down to a little bit of separation from self. And your emotion is the red flag that lets you know you're not in alignment. So the emotion that you're feeling, whether it's fear, anger, frustration, pain, suffering, are all showing you are not in alignment. So what are you buying into? So that's the time when you got the emotion, instead of focusing on what made you mad, stop and kind of look inside. Why did I react to this? Mm-hmm. It's all in the way we're questioning what's going on. So when you're able to kind of look at yourself differently than you've ever looked before, because people don't teach us how to do this. This is a way that we haven't been taught to look at yourself. For a lot of reasons. Everybody always focuses on everybody else, and you got to be a nice person, you got to do this, or if you don't have this is, everybody navigates life, or for the most part, not everyone, but from the outside in. And this is about the inside out. Mm-hmm. This is healing yourself. And then when you become a good conduit of that energy, the outside world won't affect you in the same way, because you've got a very strong, healthy vibration of unconditional love that literally lets this other stuff fall in their proper perspective. It doesn't matter if somebody's criticizing me because I feel good. That's nonsensical what they're saying, because I know who I am and I'm proud of myself and I feel good. So they won't affect you. But if you feel or have some belief about that, you know, maybe I don't approve of myself, they will affect you. But that's because you don't believe very much about yourself. It's really not about what they're saying, but it is showing you how little you believe in yourself, and that's when it's time to go within. So what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, do you feel that, and I guess it's going to be different for everyone, but the process of really falling in love with ourselves to that degree, because I know we've talked to, maybe just you and I, we haven't talked on here, but about how when we are, well, this is a twofold question. So one is the, how long, and you can't really put a time frame on it, but like it just feels like it's an ever-ending process to get to that point. And so whatever we're asking for, we're going to have the contrast, the resistance come up in order to be able to fall in love with ourselves. And I think I already have the answer to this question, is that when you, and you can correct me, but what just came to me is that when we're at that point of not needing, and you just said this, so that's why, when we're at that point of not needing the relationship, not needing the car, not needing the job in order to make us happy, and we're really content with ourselves, that is the self-love.
Yeah, because you can actually navigate life with a clear perspective, not clouded by what you think you need,
right,
or acting out of lack, or acting out of, because that really kind of clouds the mind from seeing all that you have available to you. I call them filters, because your brain is your operating system. That is your program. And your brain is designed really by you and what you put your trust and faith in, how the world works, how well you look at yourself, how you think you should be and how you think others. All of those beliefs are what energy flows in, and that's what's, just like a computer program, is sending you information based on that system. So if you have limited perspectives and beliefs, that keeps you from clearly receiving the information from the inner self, who's always speaking to you. You're always supported and being guided. You have your inner self wanting to connect with you and navigate with you. So we are very able to handle life here, because we do have that ability to connect with the self who is always there guiding us and supporting us and showing us the next step. But when you have a lot of limited perspectives, we're not clearly receiving that information, because it's coming through our programmed brain, who's receiving it from sometimes very limited perspectives. So we're getting mixed messages, or don't trust the self. Of course, I'm not getting the right answers, but most of the time it's because we have all of these blocked pathways in which to receive the whole message, the clear, loving message. We're seeing it from very cynical or judgmental or some type of self-loathing point of view. So that's why you got to clear up the debris enough to where, and you're never going to be perfectly there. We're always going to be doing this journey for the rest of your life. So, but it's getting a good amount of what's keeping you out of feeling good out of the way, so you can feel good and get to that point where I don't need things to change to be happy. So it's really trying to find that space. And when you find that space, even though you're still going to be processing this stuff out, you at least have a good, stable place, and you can receive information clearly. You'll start learning more about yourself, and life flows a lot easier from there. Go ahead.
Well, and something I want to bring up too that just came to me as well is that what we tend to do too is we tend to get very, very busy. So we numb ourselves out, so we're not hearing that voice. Because this was the second part of that, what I was going to say is that I know when we talked, it's about being. And then when you're in that self-love and you're just being, that's when all the circumstances and stuff come. But what happens is, and I can speak for myself as well, that, we tend to get really busy in doing things as opposed to just being. And so we occupy ourselves. So we have all this stuff going on in our head that we don't have we're not able to hear, these opportunities or be able to see them because we're so busy doing other things.
Absolutely, because we're so convinced that I have to be really busy to seem successful and all of that stuff. Yes, that's why quieting the mind and stopping the thoughts, because you have to really get very quiet and stop the momentum of thinking before you can receive the inspiration from self.
Yeah.
And you have to be in alignment to hear that. So if you can stop the chatter, the mind chatter that's always wanting to do stuff, and you don't have to sit still. I mean, at the beginning, you may need to sit down and meditate, but eventually you can do that while you're walking around or while you're in the shower. You know, quieting the mind is really what you're doing, is stopping the momentum of thinking that keeps you from being receptive to the next step for you.
Right.
So what we put our focus on and attention is what we're calling forward the most.
Yeah.
So if you're running around frustrated and angry about something or trying to fight against something, you're adding energy to that and enlivening that in your life. Yeah. So once you know that what you're sending out is what you're getting back vibrationally, but also what you focus on the most is creating the largest momentum, and that is what you're calling forward. So when you spend time thinking about being sick or unhealthy or I don't have enough money, if you focus on that all the time, going, I have to work harder, I have to work harder, I have to work harder to get this, you're creating a lot of momentum that takes a lot of work to shut that up, to stop that thinking. Yeah. Because it doesn't take very long. Again, you know, I had mentioned the 17 seconds of thought. When you think a thought for 17 seconds, another similar thought joins it. And that's what keeps us feeling bad or trying to escape. I got to do something else so I can feel good. A lot of people have a hard time being at home by themselves because they don't feel comfortable. Yeah. It's because they don't even know who they are. They feel like they need to be doing something or talking to somebody because of, again, the judgments. So you have to be willing to silence the mind for a little bit. Know who you are. Know what's running the game here. Yeah. And a lot of the time it's these filters, these wants and desires that are from the outside trying to be filled up by that, rather than actually filling yourself up with what will actually make you whole. Yeah. Feel good and balanced. Yeah. So it's a perception. If you're trying to get something to feel better, you might want to try feeling better, and then the thing can just move in.
What do you think about, we have one, Brenda, who's joined us, about having Brenda give a testimonial as far as where, you know, she was, if she's willing to do that, and also how she got to that point. Because I know she had mentioned something, and that was something that I was going to bring up as well, about how we look at it being in self-love, that it can look very conceited, that, you know, it's all about us and it's very selfish. So what are your thoughts? You want to, if Brenda's willing
definitely. But can I say this first about that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Really, when you, again, you know, we are conduits to vibrations. Unconditional love is the highest vibration you can have. Fear is the lowest. Feel segregation, you know, as separation from self is a very low vibration. When you're in alignment with yourself, you become a conduit of that energy, and it disperses into your environment. Our cells are communicating with each other. And when you're vibrating at that rate and you're allowing yourself to flow your energy through you without the filters that's keeping it from flowing, without the pinching off, you offer that to the world. So just your presence is sending out and offering unconditional love to others. It's the most loving thing you can do. Yeah. And anybody who looks at that as selfish really misses. That's why I want to change the word from unconditional self-love to really, you know, the art of well-beingness. But it's the same thing, it's a vibration. But really recognizing what unconditional love is versus conditional love. Yes. And recognizing the difference. But yeah, so yes, Brenda, come on in.
Yeah, Brenda, are you with us?
I'm here.
Okay, so you want to go ahead, and if anybody else, if you want to also speak, you can just unmute. But Brenda, so you want to go ahead and share your experience, because I know that you've got some pretty profound, you know, shifts that have occurred for you from where you were into where you are now, and I think that will really help the listeners, you know, who will be actually watching and tuning in as well. Do you mind sharing?
No, not at all.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
I met Kelly a little over 2 years ago, and she started working with me then. And when I first met Kelly, the point I was at in my life then basically was that I hated people. I really, really had a strong hatred for people, especially children. I didn't want to be around people. I didn't especially want to be around children. Almost every day I would wake up and I would beg God to let me die. I did not want to be here. And I wouldn't say motto, but I used to say this a lot. You're born, life sucks, and then you die.
Oh, wow.
That's how I felt about life. I didn't understand that life was a gift. I hated everything and everybody. Really what it was is I hated myself. So I went from that to where I am now. And I finally learned what unconditional love for the self is. And because I thought I had to, like Kelly said, I thought I had to have money. I thought if I could just win the lottery, I would be happy.
Right.
Last year, I wanted to move to Ireland really bad. So I thought if I could just move to Ireland, I'll be happy. If I can just be in a relationship, I'll be happy. I mean, this is all the things that I thought was going to take to make me happy. Right. Well, what happened was nothing changed in my life. I don't have more money. I don't have any of the things I thought it would take for me to be happy. But now I'm the happiest I have ever been in my life. I really don't need any of those things. Because I'm just happy every day. I wake up with a smile on my face. I sit up in bed and I give thanks for everything in my life. And that's just not the good things. That includes what people consider the bad things. Yeah. Because it's made me who I am today. And I'm really thankful for Kelly because she's the one that has been extremely patient with me. And I was not an easy job. I was very difficult.
Yes, we can be there. We can be pretty stubborn. So what was the transitional period that you found that helped you to be able to go from that? Because that's pretty extremes. And there's a lot of people, that are feeling that can really relate to this. I mean, at one point in my life, I was the same way. So what do you think that happened that transitioned you from that thought to where you are today?
The beginning of it, I guess the biggest part of the transition was my husband was diagnosed with lung cancer. And he was already in stage 4 when we found out he had it. So for the first time in his adult life, he didn't have health insurance. So I didn't know what to do, and I got him into Parkland Hospital, and I began seeing, and Parkland Hospital is a wonderful hospital, and that's where all the homeless people go, where all the Dallas County jail prisoners go. I mean, it's we were considered indigent because we didn't have money, we didn't have insurance, but we got excellent care. So what I began seeing was thousands of people going to this hospital. A lot of them as sick as my husband, but they were homeless. Yeah. And I thought, at least I've got a home. I have food to eat every day. I have clothes. I don't have those things to deal with. Yeah. So that's what really, really did open my eyes, because I saw so many children that had cancer. Oh, yeah. And they were there for chemo and they didn't have a home. Yeah. So that was the beginning of it. But Kelly it was divine timing. That's all I can say. Yeah. Because she came to me at a time in my life when I needed help desperately. Yeah. Because I was grieving. I thought I was going to lose my home, everything. And it just, I guess that was really the beginning of it. Wow. Because she's so good about helping you to face the truth about yourself. Yeah. She knows the right kind of questions to ask. Yeah. So you can't work on anything if you're not aware that it's there. Yeah. So she can help you bring things up to the surface. And every time she tells me something and I'm like, no, I'm not like that. I don't do that. And I'm like, oh, yes, I do that.
What I love what you said was, if you don't know it's there, how can you know it's about you don't know. And so I love that about her bringing awareness, because that is really true. I know I've had that experience there too. It's like, what? I don't think so. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Brenda. Wow, that's and it's so powerful that where you go, you know, you started, and then the transition, and then where you are today, knowing that none of that, and what this is exactly what Kelly was just saying, is that we don't need any of that to make us happy. And I think
Right.
it's really asking ourselves too, is what's our intention of wanting that anyway, you know? And so I think there's a lot of, just like she said too, there's a lot of questions to be asking yourself as well, but she's really helping you to see what you can't really see yourself and bring that to the surface, and that's the truth. So awesome.
Yeah, it's really
Can I
hard
say-
when you, oh, go ahead, Brenda.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to add one more thing. That's why Kelly and I both say that to work on yourself and to love yourself unconditionally is the most unselfish thing you can do, because look at where I was and look at where I am now, because I did take that time to do the work on myself.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
now I love everybody.
Oh, well, congratulations, and what a beautiful story and testimonial. Thank you so much for really sharing that. We really appreciate that. So Kelly, you know, I think to really probably follow up with just the most important thing that we really want the listeners to really get from both part 1 and part 2 of really unconditional self-love.
Well, when you can stop looking at yourself as a victim, when you can stop looking at yourself as I don't have enough, when you can stop looking at yourself as needing to compare yourself with somebody else, when you can get out of judgment for yourself, life can get really good, and you're really missing out on a wonderful experience and journey, which is why you came here in the first place.
Yeah.
So it can be very, very amazing, but if you're stuck in a lot of friction and limitations, frustration, that's where you really want to do a little bit of work and trying to soothe yourself. Feel more of who you are. Take the time to learn about yourself and allow yourself to feel better and really want that.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of the times it takes some very chronic things to push us, well, I got to change. So people do have to be ready for this. But, and it is, you know, when you do put that intent out there, that intent alone, I want to learn more about myself, I want to be more whole, that really starts getting this ball energetically rolling. So if you start with that intent, ask your guides to help you. Look for information, there's a lot of it out there. Or call us or anybody to help you kind of start seeing life differently. Be willing to say, I don't have all of the answers.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that something's wrong with me. There is another way to feel. And it's a wonderful experience, and one that helps everybody around you when you do that work on yourself.
Yeah.
And it does spread. It is a pollination of that, and others then can look to you, and you can lead by example then. And there, you know, we can feel better, because a lot of us are, you know, hurting. A lot of us are suffering, and it's all from a lack of, you know, what we've been taught to focus on things, not from a very holistic approach or a very accurate approach to what's really going on.
Right.
You know, we can have what we want, but we just got to get some of the debris out of the way so we can see it and be guided to it. So it can be a lot different. So when it comes to that, we're just talking about the reason why we're doing this journey and a little bit more clarity on how it works and why. You know, the miscommunication of what love is, because love doesn't come with a price tag or conditions.
Right.
It is just unconditional love.
Yeah.
And to learn how to be that, live that, and that spreads, and you offer that to others just by you being that. So, and we can talk about a lot of other things, you know, really get into what resistance is, alignment, frequencies, how those cells in the bodies are working, nutrition for the body, you know, but we have 3 brains. We have our head, we have our heart, and we have the gut. So it's all about the body, mind, and spirit. They all have to be lined up and working together. Where your conscious mind goes, sometimes your body isn't there yet, and it's got to catch up. Knowing how those all flow together is what we'll be talking about later. But really getting to wanting to actually feel whole and knowing what the well-being actually is, and being willing to unlearn a lot of bad habits, a lot of bad belief systems that aren't ours. You know, we bought into them because we were raised with them. But looking at things in a different perspective can just bring so much excitement and joy and satisfaction in your life. And wholeness.
Beautifully
That's
said.
it. Healing your whole life, because that's another thing, is you can't heal somebody temporarily like energy work. That will be temporary because it'll just start happening again. Because if things are being pinched off, you can recreate it. So you can heal something, but then it'll create something else if you haven't got the beliefs in alignment. So this is healing your whole life. And that's the kind of holistic journey that kind of heals everything and takes care of everything. Just that one intent on just unconditional love, when you do those meditations, really lets the other stuff fall away in perspective. And it's a lot easier than people think. Yes, resistance has to come up. And that's the unfun stuff, because we don't know yet how to live differently. And we're a little afraid of that. We're a little nervous about it, and it can be quite scary. But it is worth the journey. It is worth getting that out of the way to feel that well-being is returned.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, really, for being on the show. And thank you, everybody who tuned in. Brenda, thank you so much for your testimonial and sharing. It's really powerful, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. So, Kelly, thanks again for joining us again today and really helping us to better understand what unconditional self-love is. And so we really thank you and appreciate having you. So,
You're so welcome. My pleasure.
you're welcome. Yeah, and thank you for everybody who joined today and the ones who will be joining us afterwards. We really appreciate it. And, you know, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and comment. And you can do that on the YouTube channel, Linda Summers. So thanks, everybody, again, and we'll see you later. Awesome. Thank you.